Are you ready? Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Beach Haven. It is Monday, July 14th at 6 p.m. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. McCaffrey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building, on the borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Here.
Mr. McCaffrey?
Here.
Ms. Snyder?
Here.
Mayor Lambert?
Here.
This evening, we have Resolution 181, 2025, approving the promotion of Patrolman John Mitchell to the position of Sergeant in the Beach Haven Police Department.
Okay. The oath of office will be administered.
Well, we have to approve the resolution first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of her. I already have them approved.
To approve the resolution.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Absolutely, yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
All right, come on up.
Okay.
All right. I can read it.
I, John P. Mitchell,
I, John P. Mitchell,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
to the governments established in the United States
to the government established in the United States
and in this state,
and in the state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
Sergeant of the Beach Haven Police Department,
Sergeant of the Beach Haven Police Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
Our pleasure. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to recess for 5 minutes for pictures, family pictures and whatnot. Every time. It's not, we should. We know the problem.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're reconvening the public portion of the meeting. It is 6:11 p.m. Cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of June 1 to June 30, 2025 were $692,613.42. Cash disbursements in the current fund account for the month of June 2025 totaled $2,749,200.39. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of June 1st to June 30th were $109,899.66. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of June totaled $527,373.90. Cash receipts in the sewer utility account for the period of June 1st through June 30th were $95,514.34. Well, cash disbursements in the sewer utility account for the month of June totaled $255,473.45 submitted by our treasurer, Shari Bowler. She also provided me with a little analysis of the beach badge sales at this point. Total revenue at this point at the concluding the end of June was $472,130. Compared to the end of June of 2024, we were at $367,230.32, an increase of $104,900 over last year. So we're doing great, and that's unaudited totals.
It's probably because they have this lovely new batch checker.
Yeah. Ordinance 2025-15C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 137, outdoor dining of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven to comport with Public Law 2024 C-95, first reading.
Okay, since it is the first reading, there will be no public comment. Anybody on the council care to comment on this? It's basically, for those of you out there, it's cleaning up the language so that we are in compliance with the state regs.
Yes.
No? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve 2025-15C?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-11C, an ordinance amending Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic in the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to designate a portion of 8th Street one-way. And we're also be doing a little cleanup of that section as well. First reading.
Okay, again, not open to public comment. Anybody on the council have anything they want to say about this?
I think it's a good idea.
No? Okay.
This was brought to our attention. That intersection there has always been a very dangerous intersection with people trying to cross and people trying to get out onto Bay Avenue. This will funnel everything back down to Delaware Avenue, where they could go to the light at Taylor Avenue, or they could go to the light at 6th Street, and it'll make it a lot safer for pedestrians and people driving their cars.
Thank you. Anybody else like to comment? No? Is there a motion to approve 2025-18C?
I make a motion to approve the ordinance.
I'll second.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure supported by a certification of availability of funds and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 161 is returning piling bonds. 162, authorizing the refund of a junior lifeguard program fee. 180 is rescinding resolution 171. And just to remind you, 171 was a resolution that we did at the last meeting authorizing us to make application to the iBank for the water project. Turns out the resolution was unnecessary and the ordinances that we had previously adopted were sufficient. Resolution 182, authorizing reimbursement of costs incurred to mitigate damage from a sewer blockage. 183, acknowledging the appointment of Mary Claire Bunce as Secretary to the Joint Land Use Board. 184, returning remaining escrow. 185, authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement between the Borough of Beach Haven and the Borough of Surf City for court administrator sound recording support. Resolution 186, 2025, authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement between the Borough of Beach Haven and the Beach Haven Public Library. I would request that we remove 186 from the consent. I haven't had sufficient time to fully compare what they have approved at their previous meeting on Thursday to our final draft and just make sure that I am aware of all the edits that they made. 187, 2025 is approving membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company number 1. Those are junior members. 188, approving membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company number 1. 189 is returning street opening bonds. 190 is awarding a contract to Vortex Services LLC for the 2025 Dock Road Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Project, Pennsylvania Avenue to Delaware Avenue. 199 is amending the employment agreement between the Borough of Beach Haven and Sean McCotter, our construction official. And finally, 192, 2025, appointing Eric Riso of the law firm of Zeller and Velichko as special counsel.
Anybody like to pull anything to discuss?
I just have one question about the library.
Yep.
If we don't vote on it tonight, does that delay any of their projects by any, critical length of time? or
No,
concern
all
with
of
the
their capital projects are being funded by the borough anyhow. And as of right now, they are operating with their own funds. We did meet recently trying to expedite having their operating check cut. But in light of all the situations that are happening with employees at the library, I think they're aware that things might be delayed and we'll approve it at our next meeting.
Okay, the 31st?
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Is there a motion to approve the resolutions within the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
I have a bill list this evening in the amount of $1,480,093.09.
Everybody get a chance to review the bills?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
That's all I have for this evening.
Okay, now we come to public comment. If you would like to come up and, well, we move the microphone over, might move that back. If you would like to come up and speak, please come up. Be sure to identify yourself with your name and address, and then also please hold it to 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to come up and speak? Matt? Sure.
Hi, my name is Matt Pakelja. I'm a year-round resident down here. You guys know me. 3 little kids in town. Wife grew up here in town. We're also the owners of South End Surf and Paddle. The reason I'm here, it was brought to my attention today. Megan, the lifeguard captain, came into the shop, made me aware that there's a resident, a homeowner on Ocean Ave or Ocean Street where we operate our surf school. That has some concerns about our presence on the beach. I don't have all the details as far as like what their concerns are, but just that apparently they're seeing us there a lot. And although we have a permit to operate on that beach, we want to work with the community. Our mission at South End is to create a positive experience, and that's not just for our customers, but it's for this community. Proud to say over the last 3 years, we've garnered over 300 5-star reviews from all of our customers, which includes our summer visitors, as well as our local community. We're actually leading all surf schools on the entire island by a margin of about 200 5-star reviews. So we're really proud of that. We have an internship program that we're developing around leadership for the different people that we have working for us over the summertime. We've also expanded our work with kids with disabilities. So there's a lot of times we'll have disabled kids or adults coming up and having surf experiences with us. And lastly, we also expanded last year. We were doing something that we were calling Warrior Weekends, where veterans could come and they could get free surf lessons with us that I was paying for, free paddleboard experiences. They could rent surfboards or paddleboards or kayaks from us free of charge on the weekends. We've this year have expanded that to include law enforcement and all first responders, 7 days a week, as many days out of the year as we possibly can. And we partnered with a nonprofit here in the state that was started by some former Army Rangers called the Alpha Wave Project. So we're planning a big event down here in September that's going to involve jujitsu, yoga, and surfing. I don't share this with you guys to like try to impress anybody, but just to kind of impress upon you guys that, you know, we want to be responsive to the needs of the community. So since we heard about that, and again, I haven't spoken with the homeowner, we've made some adjustments with our team. From now on, we're going to make sure that we're setting up for the beach instruction. When you go down the dune path at Ocean Street, we're going to stay on the north side of the dune path so that the south side is completely open. We're also, as long as safety permits with what's happening in the ocean that day, we're going to try to run any surf lessons that we have on the north side of that jetty, a little bit closer to the hotels. Again, sometimes we have to go on the south side depending on which way the swell direction's coming in. So we make sure that we keep everybody safe up there. And I've also I have a good relationship with the neighbors. I make rounds there at the beginning of every season and give them my cell phone number and let them know that they can contact me anytime that they have any concerns. And I spoke with one of the neighbors today who brought up a concern about somebody that was spraying sunscreen on themselves and it got on their car. So as of today as well, we're informing our customers they can park on Ocean Street, but don't park on the beach block because there's not many parking spots there. And we have always told them if there's no parking spots on Ocean Street that they can go 1 block north to Marine Street and use any of those angle parking spots. So I would encourage you, I'm very easy to talk to. We have a very nimble team and we're very responsive to the needs of the community. So if you ever have any concerns that are expressed to you by people in the community, feel free to give them my cell phone number. Mary Claire, you have my cell phone number. They don't have to call the shop. They can reach out to me directly. And I'm happy to work with anybody that has any types of concerns so that we can adjust it. Because again, it's not about just creating positive experience for the customers that we work with. It's a whole community here, including, the homeowners that are on that street and anybody that's visiting us in the summer. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Matt. This just came to my attention very recently, and I saw the letter that you had written in response today, and I really appreciate every effort you have taken. I think it was above and beyond, and I appreciate that, and I'm sure that everything going forward will be smoother. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what more you could do, so thank you for,
Okay, there might be something more that's needed.
yeah, well, yeah, it sounds like you've done everything you can.
Good
Keep up the
evening.
good work.
Dan Young, 816 Bay Club Lane West, here tonight on behalf of the 18 property owners of the Bay Club Association. We're the pastel houses at the end of Taylor Avenue. We are between Thundering Surf and the Dog Beach. I'm here tonight to discuss our concerns about the recent decision to start enforcing the no parking between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. in the parking lot at the end of Taylor, where it meets the bay. After initial introduction of the ordinance, I had reached out to former Mayor Davis in May of 24 and explained that it was our understanding that the zoning approval for Bay Club allowed for residents to park in the Taylor Street lot, as the original proposal for the construction of the neighborhood did not provide for enough street parking. She replied, I need to check on the possibility that there might have been something in the deed and provisions allowing residents to park on the spot. I don't really see a problem with it. Having never heard back, I thought the matter was put to rest until residents started receiving tickets a few weeks ago. The explanation as to why we've been getting tickets is we were told there's a new police officer and he has chosen to enforce the law. We're here tonight to request that the police department be advised not to enforce this ordinance against residents of Bay Club. This, of course, leads to the question of whether or not the police department can choose to not enforce an ordinance, which I can emphatically say, absolutely. Let's just look around Beach Haven. There's a sign on the park at the end of 9th Street that says that the park is closed from dusk to dawn. The police stand outside this park after dusk and monitor 500 to 1,000 kids who are inside the park, all of which are considered loitering under a different ordinance. Why did the police choose to ignore this ordinance? Because they believe it's for the greater good of the town to have these kids in one location instead of being spread out across the town. Of course, residents of Bay Club could interpret this as the council and police thinking it's better to have 1,000 kids outside our houses than your houses. Located next to the park is a sign that says no vaping. Seeing numerous kids vaping in front of the police in the park that is not supposed to be open, it's safe to say this ordinance is ignored. Located next to Bird and Betty's, the Marlin, and the Shell are signs reminding people of the quiet neighborhood ordinance, specifically ordinance 134.3, noise prohibitions enumerated, which states when an officer can plainly hear audible music within 100 feet of a property line of the noise generating property during the nighttime hours. I'm going to spare you from reading the rest. I live 8 blocks from Bird and Betty's. I hear that music, that loud music every night. I can imagine the police officer standing outside of Bird and Betty's most nights hear it also. So why isn't this ordinance enforced? Because Bird and Betty's is an attraction that enhances the appeal of Beach Haven. Basically, it's for the good of the community, and the noise ordinance is not enforced because it encourages tourism and rental appeal. Despite the problems Bird and Betty's, the Marlin and the Shell cause, they do more good. So we did the right thing and we allowed them to operate in violation of the ordinance. So why enforce this no parking between 1 and 4? According to an email from Mayor Davis, the borough manager was adamant about leaving the signs up as the police had recommended it, as they want to keep the parking lot consistent. I can only imagine that the police do not want to have to drive around the 24 parking spaces to see if any illegal activity is occurring between the cars. Of course, they should be doing that so they can check to make sure no one's on the beach. Now, I didn't do an open records request, but neither myself nor any of the members of the Bay Club are aware of any incident in the last 20 years that occurred between the hours of 1 and 4 a.m. in between our parked cars. So it's a matter of the police looking to reduce their workload. Why not enforce the ordinance against birds, marlins, and shell? I would think the minute the loud music is removed from those establishments, you wouldn't need 2 to 4 police officers outside these locations every night. Wouldn't that reduce the workload of the police more than some no parking signs? Sure, but I don't think that's really the goal of the police department. So what does enforcing the no parking between 1 and 4 do to the residents of Bay Club? Obviously, it removes our parking. So what are our options? According to the former mayor and several police officers, we were told to just park in the dirt lot between Bay Club and Delaware Avenue. While that may seem like a feasible idea, that lot is owned by Thundering Surf and for their customers only. That leaves parking on 8th Street. On 8th Street, there's 20 parking spaces that were being used for overflow for the Bay Club and Harbor View, as well as overflow for Fantasy Island and Thundering Surf. These 2 complexes combined have 38 units, 20 spaces for 38 units. If we park on Delaware Avenue, there's 6 spaces. Of course, now we start to get into where the people at 600 North Delaware use for overflow, as well as other businesses. What that leaves for us is to park on Taylor right in front of Thundering Surf, or on 8th right in front of Fantasy Island. The result is that when their customers show up in the morning, we'll be utilizing their parking spaces. My point here is that when you remove the parking on Taylor Avenue, it does not leave us with a viable option of where to park unless we walk several blocks or affect other businesses. Would you want your kids to have to park several blocks away from your house? Is removing our parking on Taylor actually resulting in a greater good for the community? If we do not enforce certain ordinances against birds, marlin, shell, because they do a greater good for Beach Haven, as well as not enforcing the park closing hours because it does a greater good for Beach Haven, it begs the question, what greater good does the Bay Club do for Beach Haven?
Doing
It's not me.
that. Sorry.
The answer to what greater good the Bay Club does, it's the dog beach. The only dog beach on the island, which attracts many, many people. Many of those people leave the dog beach, then walk their dogs around Bay Village and visit stores like the pizza place and the pet store. Having spoken with a large amount of people who come to the dog beach, many of them choose to rent in Beach Haven because of the dog beach. In essence, the dog beach brings people into the town who spend money, just like birds, marlin, and the shell. You may not be aware of this, but the dog beach is owned and maintained by the Bay Club.
We're aware.
Okay. Yes, sir. We received no assistance from the borough other than being provided with poop bags, or as my friend from Brooklyn says. Not me, is it?
Maybe if
It's
you
gotta
back
be
up,
you.
I think it's your microphone.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I think it
I
should.
don't know. Oh, it's so good.
No, that's not.
Okay,
I'm just happy it wasn't me. We clean the beach, we pick up the poop people miss, we repair the beach. While yes, we're required to provide public access, we're not required to provide 24-hour access. In fact, if we limited public access to 3 hours a day, it would make much less work for us, similar to how limiting the parking in the lot between 1 and 4 reduces the work of the police department. Mayor Lambert, I respectfully remind you of your mission statement when you first decided to run for council: to preserve Beach Haven's family-friendly atmosphere and quality of life while meeting the needs of the future. Not allowing myself, my children, or my visitors to park outside my home neither preserves the family-friendly atmosphere nor the quality of life. I respectfully request that the council do one of 3 things: accept our zoning approval to park in the parking lot, request the police department not enforce the parking restrictions against Bay Club residents, or number 3, if these options are not acceptable, issue the Bay Club permit stickers to allow for overnight parking in the lot. As we all know, parking in Beach Haven is difficult enough. Despite any problems our overnight parking may cause, however minimal, Bay Club, like others, do good for Beach Haven. Please do the right thing here, especially for the people who make the town better and have to go through all the suffering of all the shenanigans that go on in that park every night. Quite honestly, this is the least that you could do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I will let the chief respond in just a minute, but I do want to make a comment here because it seemed that you are under the impression that this is like something to get the police out of work. And the problem we have had, and you just mentioned it yourself, is parking is at a premium. And what we were encountering, believe it or not, is that people from all over town were coming and leaving one of their cars there so they could have room. And I'm talking about the extreme south end of town. I know Mr. McCaffrey knows somebody on his street, way down. They were using that as their auxiliary parking lot. And then the businesses, when they opened, the lots were, you know, a third, I don't know how much full, but there were a lot of parking places being taken up. So it wasn't so the police didn't have to go and check between the cars or anything like that. It was an effort to make sure that that lot was available for the stores. I don't know anything about your deed. And this is the first I've heard about that. And I can't even imagine that that would have been a consideration, but I'm not. But anyhow, I will let the chief speak to it, but it was nothing to do with the police, you know, diminishing their workload or anything like that. It had to do with a fair parking because I've had the people from Shelter Harbor ask too. And again, we're like, okay, so we give out, what'd you say? There were 30 some between you. So if you all get at least one, and then I'm sure maybe, you know, what's the place at the end of 8th, not your cross. I mean, so every condo in that area is going to want the same consideration. And I can't even imagine what the businesses are going to say when we start giving away 40 or 50 parking places right off the bat. But I'm going to let the chief speak now, but that was just one of the things that we certainly considered when that came about.
Could I just say one thing, Chief? And I thank you for coming. We always welcome opinion and comments and concerns. So thank you for coming. And with all due respect, I'm going to let the chief speak to the parking issue itself, but with all due respect, a lot of what you said tonight was your opinion. And I just want to clarify that there's in no way are the police playing favorites with ordinances. We're not playing favorites for Bird and Betty's or the Marlin. In fact, I've never heard them referred to as doing for the greater good of Beach Haven. I think they'll be happy to hear that. But I just wanted to, remind you that police work very hard and they have a tough job to do in the summer months. They have to be 25 places at once. Some nights, you're right about the teenage. We are all, none of us are happy about that, and we're doing the best we can. But in no way are the police playing favorites by enforcing or not enforcing ordinances.
So the issue with the parking lot became, much like you said, Mayor, people would have parties or have guests at their house. They didn't have enough parking, so they'd come down and leave a vehicle or a trailer, truck and a trailer with a boat on it, parked there for a week at a time. And we addressed the entire parking lot as one because the other condos on the other side of the parking lot, they were doing the same thing. They have their own parking lots and they were, parking which made it closer to their property. So it was an easier walk. The parking lot that he referred to on Delaware Avenue, the stone side of that parking lot is the borough's parking lot. It does not belong to the water park. As far as ordinances not being written regularly, we can take care of that. It was possibly something that somebody overlooked. They weren't writing like they should have been. I know in the beginning of the season, there were some written, maybe they laid off for a little while and then they got back on it. Trying to think of some of the, where were some of the other,
The signage that the park is closed at dusk or that there's no vaping,
Why
are
can't you
those
write-
ordinances?
Why can't
I don't know that they're ordinances.
They're not.
There is no ordinance about vaping or anything like that. The park being closed at dusk, I don't know that that's an ordinance either. I'd have to see if I could find something like that in our code book, but
It's an enforcement.
And if it's juveniles, you
Option.
can't do anything.
yeah, and you're not able to write a juvenile ordinance anyway.
For loitering or
Any
vaping or
ordinances.
anything. So
Any
none of those
ordinances
juvenile.
Other than curfew. The big thing is just that
The entire parking lot was made into one ordinance when we redid the parking lot. There are several houses at those condos that they don't use their driveways at all. They have outdoor furniture and couches and tables and stuff in their driveways, and then they park in the parking lot and they leave their cars parked there all summer long, which takes away from public parking. So there are other parking options, just not as convenient.
Do you get noise complaints for Bird and Betty's?
Yeah, and when we receive noise complaints, we address noise complaints. We
You
don't,
have to get the call.
we have to get a call. We're not allowed to go to a noise complaint on our own. It has to be called in. That was a judge's decision for that. We weren't allowed to just, if you hear somebody having a party at their house or at a business, we're not allowed to just go up and write an ordinance for a noise complaint. It has to be a complaint made.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm good. Thank you.
Well, the one other thing is, you talk about the parking. I know
Use your
down-
mic. Can you use your microphone?
We've had people, I'm on the south end of Beach Haven, and there are people that come down, they have an abundance of people, with cars in their house. They were taking 4 cars, going up there, parking them. They'd all load into one car and come back, and they'd leave them there for the whole weekend. And I guess, parking is very tough in this town. There's too many houses, there's too many condos, there's too many people, and not enough parking.
If I can have 15 seconds, the issue isn't there's not enough parking, there's plenty of parking by us. What you're doing is you're creating an ordinance to stop renters and visitors by punishing the taxpayers. We just don't have a place to park our vehicles anymore. So you're forcing us to do exactly what you said you didn't want done. We're gonna start parking in front of businesses so that they don't have the space. It's just you're trying to fix one problem, and create another. We're just asking to park where we parked for 20 years without incident. Yes, someone did leave on a boat, on to a car. I saw it last year. It was there for a week. That's one guy. One person did have furniture on their driveway. They don't exist anymore. You're punishing the good, honest, tax-paying citizens that are trying to do good for this town because you're trying to address that. We're not asking for a parking lot. We're asking for what we had for 20 years. No one wrote us a ticket for those 20 years. That's all we're asking.
Yes, sir.
My name is Steve Kirschner, 410 Taylor Avenue. I'm an original owner at Bay Club, been there for a long time, and I'm now a full-time year-round resident there as well as so some other people are here. I think last year when this was redone, we were told that they did take some spaces away from that parking lot with the re-striping. They also added some along Delaware, but there were still a couple of spaces short of that. The issue last year, when we were told that we were allowed to park without getting ticketed on the far western end of the parking lot, just between our homes and the basketball court, not the rest of the parking lot. One of the reasons there is the same reason why we were permitted to park there when the original Bay Club was built, because with the zoning regulations, there was so many spots per home. And that home with a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, there should be 2.5 or 3 parking spots per vehicle. The other issue that makes it difficult for us, especially myself and Taylor, there's no parking on Taylor Avenue. So we can't put a car on the curb in front of our house or in that area also. And we do, at this point, I'm up at 4:30 and I go to work in the morning. I usually go to bed by 8 or 9 o'clock. And I can't find a place to put my car. I've had it on 8th Street. I put it on in the parking lot, but when I go to park at that area at that hour, there's no spots in the public parking or in the Stone area. There's nothing on 8th Avenue. And I've parked 3 blocks away trying to find a place just to park and then get up at 4:30 and walk to my car in the morning. Plus, my wife's car is in the driveway. So again, it's just very difficult for us. And last year we went through this and we had gotten tickets and they were forgiven and we were told that we could use that portion of the parking lot. This year, I've been here now full-time since beginning of April, using the lot. And then the day after, it was July 5th or 6th, no warning, no saying we're going to enforce this, all of our cars have tickets again. So now we have tickets and have to come to court on this Friday. for all the tickets we have, from that day. Since then, we've not parked there. Again, it's a trek trying to get around it. And I understand the issue that you're saying about people coming from far away and parking there. And like I say, I don't know how to delineate what's what. I know being full-time residents, the police knew our cars and they knew it was there, and we were right there. And the issue with people using those lots that live there, I think it's this issue of the overnight parking is not helping the situation, because they'll use their house during the day, they'll put all the cars in the parking lot. And then at night, when people aren't coming to the stores or businesses, then they move the cars just to make an open parking lot. But it's not keeping people from putting their cars there all day long when people are trying to use the businesses. So the 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. I don't think it's accomplishing what was meant to happen. I mean, it's just making it difficult for people to park after hours, after 10, 11 o'clock to try to find a spot to put their car and then move it back first thing in the morning when they wake up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to mention too, and I hear what you're saying, and I know it's a concern. Now, are most of your units 2 or 3 bedrooms? They're all 3. And how many parking places do you actually have on your property? And that's consistent with the zoning?
No, it's.
No.
Doesn't
the-
the garage have a space?
Yeah, well, for 3, the big, hold on, one at a time. The big club was built probably before the new parking
Mhm.
ordinance went through. A
yeah.
3-bedroom home requires two
right.
parking spots, but most of the, I'm looking at it right now, I can see that, most of, you have one space, but then you also have a garage as well, which I'm sure no one's using their garage. I don't want to speak for everyone. Maybe some people use their garage, but I can see that some garages have been converted to, another entryway or, I guess storage or whatnot. But I mean, if parking is that much of a big deal, then you're going to have to use your garage, which garages are supposed to be. Garages are supposed to be used for parking. They're not supposed to be used for storage. So I wasn't around in 2000 for this development, but it was probably thought 2 spaces, 1 in the garage, 1 in the driveway. Before we actually made an ordinance that doesn't count as a parking
Yeah.
spot.
Well, my thought too is when I've heard from numerous residents of Old Beach Haven, walk up and down anywhere in the historic district, and many of our older homes have no off-street parking. And their biggest complaint in the summertime is we can't even park in front of our house. They have 0 parking. So now I'm guessing that if we did this, then we would have to also provide for everybody who doesn't have adequate parking. I mean, I'm really not sure where you draw a line here, because Beach Haven is a parking problem. We all know that, but let's be fair, because at least you have 1. I'm not against talking about it, but we have talked about it quite a bit. And I think the fact that you have the 1 and you may have to look on the street. I know I'm lucky. I have a double driveway. My neighbors have none, and they're always out on the street. So it is a problem. You're not the only ones, but I'm just saying, if we start giving away another 40 or 50 parking places for all the condos in that area, I can't even imagine. Then we're gonna have the business owners in here screaming, because that's what happened before.
I agree with you. And I know that when this ordinance came to us, it made sense, and it still makes sense to me. But I understand where they're coming from. If we put an ordinance in front of my house that I couldn't park there between 1 and 4, I'd be furious. So I get it. And that's a good point. And I don't know, maybe something we can think about and just talk about it. But yeah, I don't know. See if it's really making a difference having that no overnight parking. We did do it for a reason, and it was a good reason, but I don't know. I don't think giving you permits when we can't give anyone else a permit, that would turn into World War III. So it's a sticky wicket, but think about it.
I mean, we could definitely think about it. Again, it's always a fine line with commercial and residential. We're always trying to improve the life of residents, improve the life of businesses. The businesses were complaining that
they don't have any parking and people were parking there for weeks on end. Like the
Mhm.
boat that you said, it wasn't just a boat, it was multiple cars and they have employees too that need parking. So it's a fine line for everyone to be happy and we do our best to do it. We can definitely consider this.
Yeah.
We can take a look at, different things, but on your end too, you do have a garage. Park in your garage. I mean, you have to work with us and we're trying to make everybody happy. Like Mr. Verkel just doing. Everybody happy.
Also doesn't help that all new building is 6 bedrooms with
Yeah, that doesn't
12,
help either.
13 cars and it's, yeah.
Martha?
Done with parking?
Are
Okay.
we ever done with
Never,
parking?
never.
You will never be. done.
No, Martha Lodge, 122 Second Street. And I just wanted to cite some observations I made walking around our beautiful town, and that's early in the season, Veterans Park was looking phenomenal. And people commented how wonderful it is that our town prioritized green space. That doesn't happen in a lot of towns, but we did, and it's beautiful, or was beautiful. And I have witnessed families enjoying it on a daily basis. Now, as we've gotten into the heat and events of summer, it has deteriorated rapidly. And I'm concerned with events such as the flea market and craft show, which I'm not sure what they add to our town, that we would be willing to jeopardize something that we spend so much money to create and adds so much to our town. I don't see how anyone gets in their car and comes down the parkway to go to Beach Haven on Saturday because we have a craft fair or a flea market. I think they're here for the beach and our lovely green spaces. So I would ask council to reconsider utilizing that space for those events and to consider either one of 2 options: eliminate the usage because they don't bring a benefit to our town. And in fact, brick and mortar stores may take exception to what these events do for them. Or 2, consider moving it to Walsh Field. Please consider those. Thank you.
Thank
Martha.
you. Anybody else in the public like to comment?
Don Caxis, 16 Fifth Street, Beach Haven, New Jersey. I'll just add to what Martha said. I took a walk down there after going to the Friends of Beach Haven meeting today, and we spent, what, $250,000 to put that grass in. And I noticed that it's not just the tire ruts that's there. There's obvious areas where vendors, if they're food vendors, are spilling things into the grass. There's circles that are just deteriorated there. So so I think we want to really, when you have an athletic facility and whether it's a golf course or something, and weather conditions, we've had a lot of rain this year. You have to consider other options. I mean, whether it's a golf course, they go temporary greens and stuff like that. So I think we ought to consider other options, considering what happened this past. Somebody was telling me today, I guess, where we are, we've got an extraordinary amount of rain during the month of June. And that's really created conditions that really would, maybe we want to reconsider where we have these things. That wasn't the main reason I was here. The main reason, though, is I want to thank the police department. Last night on Fifth Street around 9:30, the large group of teenagers, probably between 50 and 75, were howling and screaming on Fifth Street in the middle of the street with their bicycles, and the police got there right away. I gotta commend the police department. These teenagers were taunting them. They were sticking their phones right in police officers' faces. I mean, to me, what are parents? If somebody from the Sandpaper is hearing this, reach out to the parents and say, why are parents letting this happen in our town? The police did a great, commendable job. I mean, I guess they hung out there till almost like 9:45, and then I guess the ordinance kicks in, and then they finally left. But they were not willing to leave the street, even though they're howling and screaming in the street. So I want to thanks the police department. You mentioned beach badges. I know we increased the beach badge fee this year about $5, so maybe that's the reason we're getting an increase in beach badge fee revenue.
It went
And-
up 10, actually.
And I know you've responded to a request from the people on Fifth Street where the beginning of the season, we had soft sand leading down to the beach and people couldn't get on and off the beach, even using the handicap. You're trying to change it back to hard pack. So thank you for doing that. And since we're getting 105,000 more, consider at least putting the handicap ramps down to the beach. The Moby mats on the handicap ramps, they're going down to the beach. We're using some of that money for that. Another concern I have is, it's my understanding that the lithium battery facility goes into operation on August the 15th. It's a concern I have. It's my understanding that the emergency operation plans for this facility are confidential and will not be made public I know the borough has asked there be a delay in activation of this facility, and that was turned down by ACE. ACE has refused to have a public meeting, a special council meeting where people in this town can pose questions to them. I attended the one meeting they had, and it was in the middle of a rainstorm. There was 2 foot of water on the beach, in the streets. Maybe 15 people attended it. I asked them a ton of questions that they couldn't answer. I gave them my contact information, asked them to reach out to me, and I would pose the questions for them to give some responses in writing. They never responded to it. To me, it's very concerning that we've got a large lithium battery storage facility going on in Second Street being activated, and ACE seems to just be ignoring Beach Haven and residents about their concerns. I'm not ready to listen to the concerns of the public. So that's very concerning. It's just very uncomfortable about that whole situation. And again, thank you for the work you're doing and for keeping especially the police, and for trying to do something with the ramps going down to the beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
I just wanted to give the council just an update. We've used the drones from the Friends of Beach Haven. We've used them 3 times for emergency calls and once for the lifeguard race, and they worked out great.
Oh,
So
great.
They were, it was, the fire company used it a couple times for locating somebody who was lost in the bay in the mud, and they worked out great. So I just want to thank
Oh,
the
that's
Friends of
awesome.
Beach Haven.
Because that
Thank
came
you.
up today at our
Yes.
meeting, and I was going to follow up. That's great. Thank you for that information.
Anybody else in the audience care to speak? How about on Zoom?
Nancy Davis.
I'm muted.
You're good.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Nancy Davis, 25 Second Street. I just want to reiterate what Martha Lodge and Don Cactus said regarding the parks. I commend the town for putting the money into Veterans Park. It's absolutely beautiful, quite an improvement. I've lived here all my life and walk around Veterans Park many times with dogs, etc. And it's never looked better, and it is starting to look a little shabbier. We might want to think of some other options, not just Walshfield, but we do have the field in the middle of Bay Village, although maybe the merchants wouldn't like that, but there are other places we could allow people to set up flea markets and that sort of thing. So that really, they said everything I need to say. I just think we should revisit that situation. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Anybody else?
Gail Brandley.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Gail Branley, 210 Ocean Street in Beach Haven.
Right.
Thank you all for the good keep you care of our borough. I'm just curious as to the date of that sewerage blockage that you're providing a reimbursement for.
June 4th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
One more quick
Thank you.
question. Who is the representative from the paddle shop in Beach Haven
Matt Bakelja
with a V as in victory?
with a B as in boy. He
Boy.
runs South End Surf and Paddle.
Okay. If he happens to be in the room, my number is 908-419.
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No one else?
All right, seeing none, we will close the floor to public comment and go to final remarks by council. And we start with,
Colleen, could I,
Sure.
could I respond just?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, just regarding Martha's concern and Nancy's and Don, part of yours as well. And I've heard from quite a few people over the weekend and today and regarding Veterans Park. I mean, it's clearly in really bad shape, which is really sad because it was looking beautiful. I think if there's, I think tonight we're not going to probably address that. Because on Thursday, I want you to know that I've spoken to Frank Little, Sherry has spoken to Frank Little, Steve Letts has spoken to Frank Little, and we're going to meet in the park on Thursday morning with Frank. And before we can make any decisions, I think it's important for our borough engineer, Frank Little is our borough engineer, to visit the site and assess the situation with Steve. And I hope that the gentleman, the company, I think it's Vulcan, I can't remember the construction company that put the sod down. I mean, comes and sees what's going on, whether it's, it is, I think there's 2 or 3-fold the damage with her. And I think the trucks are definitely a contributing factor. And I would like to see, well, we'll talk about it another time, but I just think that I want you to know that we are hopefully we're gonna look into what we can do to mitigate the damage. I personally would like to see larger events move to another park or the school parking lot, even though businesses might get upset, but it's sort of an emergent situation. We've spent almost $250,000 and I don't want to, don't want to throw the taxpayers' money out without even trying to mitigate the damage further. And in the meantime, it's ruining that park for other activities. So it is really wet. It's not draining. So there's a situation there too. So I'm hoping that we can come up with a solution and remedy it. I really hope. We're going to try. But thank you for coming and thank you for comments.
Thank you. Just to, piggyback on what you were saying, it's true, the park looked great and everything else. But part of the consideration when it was originally approved was that it would be able to handle vehicles, it would be able to handle traffic, it would be business as usual at that location. And I have to be very honest with you, I don't think I would have approved it because there were other things we could have done to beautify that space. And I would have tried to look into something that's a little more cost efficient. The sod is gorgeous and everybody who saw it in the spring knows that. But now all of a sudden, we're in this situation where the park's not looking good, but we have had an excessive amount of rain. It's not draining. Same thing's going on at Walsh Field. I mean, anywhere in this town where there's grass. And like I said, part of the deal was always that the sod could withstand it. And I know I personally asked that question before we approved it. And it was yes. And I know that Kitty was under that impression from what she was told. And now all of a sudden it's like we have to change everything because, I just think that we need to be careful going forward before we start, and I know, Martha, when you asked about the thing, we actually almost cut in half because somebody else asked me today. We went from, I think it was 11 artisan markets to 6. And then we went from 7 craft and flea markets to 4 at that location. Part of it was because of the merchants and their request. But when we met, we had the round table. And when we had the meetings here, the merchants split up. Half of them were like, yeah, bring them on in the summer. They really bring business to town. We love it. And the other half were, if it's a food truck, forget it. Or if it's competing with something I carry in my store, forget it. So this was the compromise that was reached. I mean, it wasn't reached lightly. We put a lot of hours into that whole thing. But anyhow, that's where we are with that situation.
Well,
Any,
one thing that was always said, and it was always known, that is, you know, if there's a lot of excessive rain, it should, in other words, if it's really wet, you shouldn't drive on it. And that's what's happening. Nobody wanted this to happen, but something went wrong somewhere. And I think to drive on it further and just ignore it because some of us like the flea market is sort of a bad idea. I think it's important. I think we got a grant for it, so we didn't pay for it. So it was really, we were lucky to get that grant. And I really hate to waste that money by allowing, you know, I think we have an obligation to see what we can do to not let it get worse and to fix it.
thank you. Okay, Mr. McCaffrey, looks like you're kicking us off with final comment.
Yes, just a couple things I wanted to go over, because I'm getting a lot of these spam calls for people wanting to donate to police functions and stuff. If you get them on the line, ask for their charitable registration number and write it down, because you can look it up through the Division of New Jersey with charitable registrations. So most of them aren't really valid organizations. And half the time, if you ask for their charitable registration number, they will hang up on you because they don't have one. They're not allowed to solicit over the phone in the state of New Jersey. Police departments aren't anyway. All right, I would like to ask the public to be a little bit more tolerant with each other and stuff. We're halfway through the summer. And, you know, everybody's, you know, it's very hot. And there's a lot of, you know, yelling and stuff that goes on between people. Just be polite, be respectful, and be careful out there, because it gets a little crazy in the summertime.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Snyder?
Thank you. Well, first off, I just would like to express my deepest condolences to the Pence and the Kelly families. We lost two really great men, large men in town. I've given a lot to Beach Haven, and really just like to express my deepest condolences to the wonderful two families. Also, we have a free throw competition this Wednesday at Taylor's at the basketball courts down there for 10 to 16-year-olds at 10 a.m. It's like our first rec director event. So I think it's going to be fun. We have 25 kids signed up already, and my son-in-law has agreed to do the emceeing because I shamed him into it, but he does all of the trivia nights, and he works at the school. He'll do a fun job. So come meet our new rec director and check it out on this Wednesday at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I want to thank the people who came out to express their concerns, whatever they were. And we want to keep an open dialogue as best we can. And just reiterate, be safe. There's lots of kids out there zooming around on bicycles and e-bikes, and older people zooming around on bikes and e-bikes too, and going the wrong way and every which way. So thanks for your tolerance and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Mrs. Bono?
Yes, I just wanted to say at the beginning of the meeting, congratulations again to the Mitchell family. It was a long time coming promotion and a well-deserved promotion for Johnny Mitchell. My condolences also to both the Pence and Kelly family as well. And also, I'm also deeply concerned with Veterans Park at the flea market, the craft show that I went to. I first noticed that the grass was really wet. It kind of felt like Walshfield. So something isn't draining there. There's something going on. And regardless of what we said, you know, at the beginning with the craft shows, we can't just ignore the situation. We can't just throw that money away when we were so excited about the beautification of this. We were under the impression that cars would be able to drive on it, but we did have an extreme amount of rain in a short amount of time. So there might be some provisions that we're going to have to put in place for the rest of the summer, because we can't just let that be totally and completely ruined. So see what our engineer has to say, what is happening, but it's, it's something that really needs to be addressed regardless of how many craft shows are left. That's, it's a craft show. But it's our park. We have to remember that's first. And also thank you for the Bay Club for coming and expressing your concerns tonight. Like I said, it's a fine line between the residents and the businesses. And this is something that we will again discuss and with the police, with the businesses, amongst ourselves, with everyone at the borough. Nothing will happen this summer. I mean, even if we did a change in the ordinance, if we all agreed on something, there's just not enough time to change something for this summer. So, but it will be on the list of things that we will be discussing in the winter time. And so I do thank you. And unfortunately, parking in this small space is very difficult. And but please know that we will be discussing it for you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out tonight and making your opinions and feelings known. Congratulations to Sergeant Mitchell on a very well-deserved promotion. And again, I'm repeating everybody, but heartfelt sympathy goes out to the Pence and Kelly families over the loss of Elmer and Jim. They were not only longtime residents who raised their families here, but also longtime friends who both worked for the borough. They both served on many committees and contributed a great deal to our town. They made Beach Haven a better place, and they will be sorely missed. So on that note, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Great. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.